I got a question from one of my viewers named Jonathan, or Jonathan, because there's no H. Jonathan Mazariegos. And he wrote, "Hello, I would love you to tell me about your experience working as a QA or quality analyst. Was it easier? Did you earn more? What were your tasks and duties?" So before I answer all your questions, I think it's very important that you first know that I worked for a small account. It was not an account like Amazon or eBay where there's a lot of departments, probably even thousands, millions of call center agents. The account I was working for was comprised of 30 to 40 call center agents, probably even less. And I also didn't get that position because I was gunning for it. I got that position because I was recommended by the first QA of the account. Let's call her Kendra. So Kendra was the first QA of the account. We were in the same batch. We were the pioneers of that account. And it was time for the company to look for a second QA. So the higher ups, the managers, the TL, asked her, "Who do you want as a second QA?" And she recommended me. So all thanks to Kendra that I was promoted from being a CSR to a QA. So I'm just letting you know that because I might not be the best person to give you advice on how to get promoted. Because first, I was not gunning for the promotion. I was just recommended. And second, I was working for a pretty small account. It's like there was not so much competition. I didn't have to compete with my co-employees who also wanted to be a QA. Because at that time, I think nobody really went forward to be a QA, if I remember right. So I was offered the position. I was thankful. I accepted it and I loved it. Well, I think at least I loved it better than being a CSR and taking calls. Yes, it was easier because I did not have to take calls and I didn't have to talk to customers 8 hours every shift. Anything really that takes me off from taking calls and talking to customers to doing non-voice tasks is always better for me. So I would say that yes, it was easier. Okay, because I was working for a pretty small account, the raise was also not that much. It was only around 3,000 pesos per month. And because I was no longer taking calls, I was no longer eligible to get the performance bonus. I still got the attendance bonus, which was 1,000 a month, but I couldn't get the performance bonus anymore. So if you think about it, it was pretty much the same. I could no longer get the 3,000 performance bonus, but at the same time, I got a raise of 3,000 as a QA. So it was nothing much. I cannot speak, of course, for all the QAs in the Philippines, especially those who are working for bigger call center companies like Convergys, ePerformax, JP Morgan. I have not experienced those. So on a typical day, I would listen to all the agents' calls, chat, and email. For each agent per week, I had to review 2 calls, 2 emails, or 2 chats. So there's like 8 to 12 calls and 8 to 12 emails per month that I had to rate for each agent. And there were only around 20 to 30 agents. I'm not sure, probably even less than that. So on a typical day, Kendra and I would be listening to calls and then reading chat transcripts and emails. We were also reading customer surveys. If the rating from a certain customer is negative and there's still room for improvement, if the agent could still do something better than what she did, then we would email that specific agent and tell him or her, "Hey, contact this customer, tell her that you're sorry, and process her refund, blah, blah, blah," something like that. Of course, if there's nothing to be done, company policy wise, then we just leave it like that. Another task that we very rarely do is to listen to live calls. For some reason, we don't do that a lot. I know that in big companies, they usually do that a lot. But you see, it was really just a small account and it was not that structured, unlike the bigger accounts where there's really a system to follow. We were just basically figuring it out as we go because the account at the time was really just a baby. It was new. As QAs, I would say that we were not really we were not really proactive. We were just waiting for orders from the higher ups. So if they have suggestions, we follow it, but we never initiate something or we never suggested anything. At the risk of sounding like a narcissist, I'd like to think that I was recommended by Kendra because she liked my work. I think as a QA, you need to be really detail oriented. You need to pay very close attention to details. And it has always been my principle that if I do something, I need to do it to the best of my ability. One of my priorities when helping customers is to always follow the first call resolution, which means that I should give every bit of information to the customer so that she doesn't have to call back for the same issue in the future. So less repeat contacts, happier customer. And I'd like to think that that was why Kendra recommended me to the higher ups and be her second QA. And you also, of course, have to have a perfect attendance, no lates and absences, of course. And of course, you're going to have a high performance score. And when I'm taking calls, I also made sure that I sound really upbeat, friendly to the customer. Because the thing about talking over the phone is that your voice is actually really diminished. So you have to, what do you call it? You have to compensate for it by making your voice louder, more upbeat, friendlier. Because the other person cannot see your face. So you have to compensate for it by modulating your voice. Kendra resigned. She went abroad and became a nurse. When Kendra went abroad and I was left alone, another task was added to my list, and that was to talk to each and every agent every Friday. So I would have a face-to-face conversation with each agent. I would call them one by one and then talk about their performance, really. Of all the tasks, that was the task that I was least comfortable with. If I can help it, I try to avoid talking to people. And that was a task that I liked the least. But of course, I understood that it was necessary. But when I applied in ePerformax in Cebu, I heard that QAs are also required to take calls a few hours every week. The purpose of that was to kind of remind them how it feels like to be an agent. So I think it depends on the company, really. In ePerformax Cebu, by the way, if you want to be promoted to a higher position, there is this free class that you need to attend for you to be trained for the specific position that you are gunning for, you're aiming for. So I think that's great because they really prepare you for the position. And of course, you have to pass your application just to let the company know that, hey, I want to be promoted someday. And then when they think that you're ready and there is an available position, then you will be considered for that position because you've already received the training and you've already expressed your desire to be promoted. But I think what's really universal here is to have a perfect attendance, no lates, no absences, and you have to have a high quality performance. The second year of being a QA, I got really bored and demotivated. And it was not because of the client. It was not because of the account. It was not because of the higher ups, my TL or manager. It was just because of me. I think it was just me who was to blame. I think what I should have probably improved was my leadership skill. I did not have any ounce of leadership in me when I took that position. In the second year of being a QA, I ended up being demotivated. The agents, in my opinion, were just doing their job because they need the salary, which is pretty common really. But I think what I should have done was to motivate them to get higher scores, and I just didn't do that. I was just, rating their calls, telling them, hey, this is what's wrong with you. This is what you're going to have to do next time to be better. And that's it. But I did not take any step to motivate them to get higher scores. And I think I feel responsible for that. I mean, of course, the TL also has to motivate the agents, but I think I should also have done that. But I didn't. Until it reached a point where I felt like I didn't have any purpose. I was still doing my job, but I felt like I was not making any difference anymore. It just felt like I was this QA who's always bothering the agents, sending them emails, telling them what to do. And I just didn't feel that I was making any difference to the company, to the agents, to the clients. Nothing. So in the second year of being a QA, I felt like I just needed to resign. And yeah, well, the timing was also great because we had to relocate to Cebu, so I resigned eventually. That when you're working as a QA, you also have to find a purpose. You have to have this feeling that you are making a difference, that you are contributing to the company. Because if not, if you're just receiving your salary, I don't think you're going to be motivated. Eventually, you're going to lose interest. You're just going to have to work every day because you need the money, but there's no motivation there. That was the problem with me when I worked as a QA. That is why I love being here on YouTube and vlogging, because I feel like I am making a difference. I'm not only earning money, but I'm also helping other people, and I feel useful. And I think it is human nature for each of us to want to have that feeling of being useful, that we are contributing, that we matter, So I am getting that from YouTube by vlogging. So hopefully this industry is going to stay for at least, 5 years, 10 years. Longer would be better, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So thank you so much, Jonathan, for commenting and viewing my channel. And I hope that you will be promoted to whatever position that you want in the future. If you have any questions, comment down below and I will probably make a short video answering that specific question. So, all right, that is all for today and bye.